All right, so it's a good day to everyone. I am Christopher H. Punzalan and a research scholar of the Running Institute from the Philippines. I'm here to present and share my master's thesis about the environmental education integration in science amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. So this thesis or research was conducted uh, way back. It started from 2020 and just ended this year. As I can remember, I have already shared some proposals pertaining to this thesis way back last year during the lightning talks as well. So let us start. In introduction in the background, since that we are already facing the post-pandemic, according to Arden and Bowers from the literature back in 2020, COVID-19 pandemic presents specific and long-term risks to environmental education that provides numerous cognitive, affective, and health-related benefits. At the same time, COVID-19 also brought about positive effects, including the reduction of the air and water pollution, but negative effects as well because of the increased medical waste on the environment. Also, the environmental education organizations, just like they're in the United States, they estimated potential environmental education program losses, which resulted from the COVID-19 school closures, shutdowns, and quarantine recommendations, which affected the opportunities for the students to learn. And also, according to the UNESCO, in 1978, environmental education helps individuals to become more knowledgeable about their environment and to develop responsible behavior on the environment. Also, the Earth is now suffering from countless disorders. So this was pre-pandemic, which caused by the dreadful human activities that relentlessly denuded the environment. Here in the Philippines, there is an existing Republic Act number 9512. So this is also known as the National Environmental Awareness and Education Act of 2008, which required the incorporation of environmental education in all courses and in all academic institutions, both the formal and non-formal, which were also highlighted. And as a theoretical concept utilized in this study, teachers as constructivists, as I have made use of the constructivist theory in this study, it says that it integrates the contextualized concepts so that students can identify and solve environmental problems through the practicing of experiments and also providing them problem solving and cooperative learning opportunities. Now, the thesis of this, okay, is about the understanding the perceptions, attitudes, and experiences of science teachers, which could present the strengths and limitations of the integration of environmental education and the science curriculum during the pandemic. And since that there were limited studies which were found to tackle the practice of environmental education integration and the science curriculum in the Philippines, and at the same time also in the international context, while there was no published study. As I've conducted literature review, both in the Philippines and also in a worldwide context, which tackled about the environmental education integration during the pandemic, which may transpire the science teachers' perceptions, attitudes, and experiences. So the main objective of this thesis was to look for the science teachers' perceptions, attitudes, and experiences uh, through their integration of environmental education in the science curriculum via the online distance learning modality, as the ODL or online distance learning modality was adapted during the pandemic. So amidst the pandemic, by which these were gathered and analyzed in this study to explain the strengths and limitations of the environmental education integration. So this is actually qualitative in nature, but I also made use of the survey quantitative approach to support the qualitative studies or the qualitative data coming from the case study qualitative approach. The instruments used are as follows, by which I have adapted an instrument from a 2020 study by Sukma, Ramadhan, and Idriani, which was about the environmental education and the learning process questionnaire. And also for the case study qualitative approach, I used interview and focus group discussion questionnaires, which are researcher made. And these were validated also by the three environmental education and research experts in the country. So these are the demographic profile of the science teachers. I conducted the thesis among 32 participants who were junior high school science teachers. Uh, I think the equivalent for that in the United States is middle school. So they were science teachers from grade 7 to grade 10. And the variables are as follows. So I look for their or ask for their age, the gender, the number of years in teaching profession, the current grade level, educational attainment, specialization, the environmental education course in college, and their knowledge about the environmental education. So the participants were selected through purposive sampling, since that again, this is a qualitative, a thesis in a qualitative nature. So the data collection, I started to provide an intent letter to the division office and the different schools which participated in the thesis. I also provided a consent form for the participants who were involved in my study. And these are as follows, the data collection. I provided first, administered the survey questionnaire among all those participants, and also followed by the semi-structured interview, uh, which was also done individually, and also a focus group discussion by which the teachers or the participants were grouped as pertaining to their school. So the modality, since that the data gathering was conducted during the pandemic, uh, I administered the questionnaire through Google Forms, and also the interviews and the focus group discussions were uh, majority of this were conducted through online platform, which is the Google Meet. While in some cases, there was a chance by which I was able to conduct on a face-to-face modality for the selected schools. And the data analysis utilized here were as follows. In descriptive statistics for the first research question pertaining to the survey questionnaire. So I look for the frequency and mean. And 2 and 3, I utilize the thematic analysis, by which according to Yin in 2009, it looked for the orientations among the data and the current explanations. So these are the findings of this study and the quantitative part. So this presents the science teachers integration of environmental education and online distance learning modality, pertaining to how the level of their agreement to each statement. And as you can see here, the descriptive interpretations of all these statements fall into agree level, which is equivalent to 3. But if we're going to look at the results, the first statement got already the highest mean, which is 3.47, by which the science teachers do agree that they educate the students about the environment because they believe that it is important. So in order to support this quantitative results, these were the emerging themes on science teachers' perceptions in the integration of environmental education in the curriculum. And there were three themes which emerged from the thematic analysis conducted from the responses of the 32 participants during the semi-structured interview and also focus group discussion. And these are as follows. The first is impressions and understanding of environmental education. So I will just be highlighting at least one response from each from a participant. So in this theme, I can share about the one mentioned by a science teacher. Okay, so by the way, I have coded the names of the participants due to the confidentiality concerns. So it mentioned that integrating environmental education in the science curriculum is not new for them because of the Youth for Environment in School organization, which is an organization uh, as as mandated by the Department of Education in the Philippine government. So that is one way and how they can be able to deliver or integrate environmental education in not only in the classroom context but also in through extracurricular activities. For the second theme, which is about the benefiting from environmental education integration in science amidst the pandemic, I would just like to highlight the one mentioned by an S2 grade 9 teacher. So according to that teacher, to give awareness and for us to realize that despite the pandemic, we need to face and find a solution to this critical situation in our environment. Lastly, for the third theme, which is about balancing the values and drawbacks of environmental education integration amidst the pandemic. One science teacher mentioned that students can be aware of the state of our environment, but other students are not interested because for them it is boring or nerdy to look at, which is not a good thing uh, to to think of based on the findings of this study. And the emerging themes pertaining to the science teachers' attitudes and experiences, uh, it actually emerged into four themes. First is the pedagogical strategies, methods, and resources to integrate environmental education and science teaching. So one science teacher mentioned that they gave the students some situational problems which helped them realize the importance of the environment. The second theme, confronting the issues on environmental education amidst pandemic. One teacher mentioned that there is a time constraint which hinders them to discuss or elaborate on the integration of environmental education into science. As during the pandemic, since that it is not actually purely online, the majority of the modality of the public schools adapted a modular approach by which they just made use of printed printout materials, and the students were not able to attend online classes. So, but at the same time, there was still a problem for those students who attended the online classes, since that there was a compressed number of hours allotted for each subject or a course area. So it actually provided or hindered, again, the teachers to integrate properly environmental education in science. So for the third theme, initiating best practices for environmental education integration in science curriculum, one science teacher mentioned that students have plenty of time doing activities on how to take care of the environment, like cleaning or planting. So because some students were able to realize the importance of doing household chores as they were not permitted to go out because of the restrictions. So for the last theme, under this attitudes and experiences, this is known as advocating for an intensified environmental education integration in science amidst the pandemic. So one science teacher mentioned that there must be a standardized plan or layout so that it will not be hard for teachers to integrate environmental education, by which they suggest and recommend it to the government or to the Department of Education so that there could be really a standardized plan or a guideline that they can be able to use. So from the findings of this study, so I have concluded the following. So science teachers reported that they agree with the list of statements about their environmental education integration practices in teaching science, which connotes that their level of an agreement to get involved with the proper incorporation of environmental topics in teaching science despite the pandemic is still possible and at a higher level. Also, perceptions of science teachers were grouped into those themes given, And lastly, the attitudes and experiences of science teachers were also grouped into four different themes. So from the conclusions of this thesis, I recommended the following to the stakeholders and to those who would be benefiting, okay, these about this study. So first is that the current study only looked at 32 science teachers from 8 junior high schools in a city in the Philippines. So future research should also investigate the perspectives, attitudes, and experiences of additional science teachers who have incorporated environmental education into their curricula. Also, this study would like to recommend a post-pandemic study so that there could be a comparison about how science teachers integrated environmental education during and after the pandemic. So the next one is there should be a regional or countrywide study on science teachers' preparation and implementation of environmental education integration into science curriculum through various modalities, not only through online, but also for modular and blended learning in various educational institutions, not only in the basic education, by which I focus this study in junior high school, but also in the tertiary level. So lastly, I recommended an investigation of the perspectives of basic education stakeholders, which are involved in the development of science curricula and capacity building through training, seminars, and workshops so that the environmental education can be able to gain a better understanding, again, of how they can fully engage science teachers in meaningful environmental education integration. So I hope that the recommendations and findings of the study would probably help those who are stakeholders in the educational sector, not only in the country, but also in the Philippines, but also in a worldwide context. Let me just end my presentation with a statement or a quote from David Sabel. So he mentioned that if we want children to flourish, to become truly empowered, let us allow them to love the earth before we ask them to save it. Yeah. So thank you so much once again. This was my the product of my thesis pertaining to the environmental education integration in the science curriculum here in the Philippines during the pandemic. So that will be all. Will be all again. Thank you.